Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. It's your T-shirted historian. I really had quite a few directions I could go with the rant today because a lot of stuff that kind of hit me personal came up this week. So I'm going to give a rant about something that we're probably going to talk about here on the panel because I know that others have had their own experiences with it, and I'm sure you out there in the audience have had your experiences with it as well. But we have people who are trying to claim that the Satanic Panic never happened. That it was a psyop designed to subvert, supplant, or other words, or deface the Christian, the Christian religion. I'm gonna say now that's 100% total, absolute, complete crap. I know there was a Satanic Panic because I was a kid back in the 80s, and it directly impacted me after I started my role-playing game career. Such as it was. I mean, granted, I picked up my first book when I was 10, which is kind of a young age to start Dungeons & Dragons, but it was enough to definitely get me on the radar of people who were in positions of authority. I'm not sure what age I got my first. I got my player's handbook for AD&D. I know I was about in 5th or 6th grade, I think, when I got that. But I remember the looks that people would give me after I, showed up with all my dice and my books and everything else, and tried to get other people to play with me. We had our own little group, and we had a lot of fun, I'm not going to tell you I was a great DM. I'm not going to tell you I was really good and I knew all the rules and I got everything exactly right. I didn't. I was a kid. When you're a kid, you kind of skim around a little bit, or you just find the really interesting parts of the book that you really enjoy, or in my case, as soon as I got a monster manual, I looked up all the coolest monsters and thought, ooh, that'd be really fun to go and spring on my friends, and proceeded to wipe the party. I was not a good DM back then. But through the power of modules, I kind of started to learn how things were supposed to run in the games. Tomb of Horrors being the first one was probably not a good choice. But anyway, I got better. Point is, I was also into heavy metal music back then. I'm still a lifelong heavy metal music fan. Still listen to it, still enjoy it, have contacts in the metal world. And back then, those were kind of like the two peak things that would get you on the radar of anybody who had any kind of church authority or any kind of investment in the Christian church or whatever. I mean, this was during a time when people who were supposed Satanists were, the law would actually go after them. And so, yeah, I hit a lot of people's radars, teachers, authority figures, and even members of my own family. Not necessarily my parents. My parents were getting as much heat about it as I was because, of course, all their relatives knew better and had heard about it and were afraid of what it was going to do to me, of what I would do to them, and all these other things. I had a teacher who was frightened of me back in high school, and I don't understand why. I never said a cross word to that teacher. I always smiled. I was always kind to her. I never treated her badly. I never talked back or anything. I was a good kid. But for some reason, she thought that I was capable of doing some kind of horrible harm to her or other people in the classroom or something else. And she had me sent to the principal's office one day to talk about my D&D stuff. And yeah, that was pretty disheartening. I had another teacher rip up one of my books. I'd constantly had relatives and other things putting cassette tapes of preachers talking about the evils of it and how they'd been burning D&D books and there were screams coming out of the fire and all this other stuff and how people's personalities changed. And then, of course, there was all the silly rumors like things like, people who actively killed each other during games, which I can't believe actually happened. I mean, I've had other players at some of my role-playing games that I've wanted to kill because they were assholes, but it wasn't because I was motivated by some supernatural force. And obviously I didn't kill anybody, otherwise I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I'd be locked up somewhere. Point I'm trying to make is this was just my experience with the Satanic Panic. I mean, they didn't like the fact that I listened to heavy metal music. That didn't help anything. But they didn't care nearly as much about the heavy metal music as they cared about the D&D. The D&D, for some reason, was subversive. It was scary. It was something they didn't understand. Something, that was darker. The music was just loud and annoying, and I don't know. They didn't like that either, but that was the clincher, man. They didn't pull me into the office because I was playing my heavy metal music too loud. They didn't pull me into the office because my t-shirts, said Iron Maiden on it. Or because I wore a British flag t-shirt, which one of my friends did and got pulled into the office for. They pulled me in because I had role-playing books. So, if somebody wants to tell me that the Satanic Panic didn't happen, I gotta say, that person either wasn't alive during that time to know, or they're just flat out straight up lying. I can't figure out what it is, which one it is. I mean, and honestly, I don't care to. I know what my lived experience was. I know how it affected me. I still have the memories of how it affected me. And the bitterness that it caused, the resentment. See, I was a church-going Christian kid, So for people who profess themselves to be Christians to be coming after me like that when I hadn't done anything wrong to anyone, when I wasn't doing anything wrong, really made me kind of second-guess the religion. In other words, those people did more harm to my image of religion than the books did. Because I don't remember reading anywhere in any of those D&D books where it said, refute Christianity or, Christianity's bad or, Jesus is bad or anything else. It doesn't say that in any of those books. Enough people have read them cover to cover that can confirm this. You're welcome to ask any of them, So, these same people who refute the fact that it actually happened are actually doing more to hurt their own arguments. They're actually doing more to hurt themselves. They're actually doing more to defame themselves. They're actually doing more to discredit themselves than anything I could do. Because those of you out there who were around in the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, you probably went through some of this too, in one form or another. You probably got a look from somebody when you told them you played D&D. You probably had somebody whisper behind your back about it. And if it wasn't D&D, it was probably Vampire the Masquerade. If it wasn't Vampire, maybe it was Call of Cthulhu. I don't know. D&D was the big one. It always has been. But anyway, that's kind of my rant for today. Why don't we get our panelists on? Hey, gents.
Hello.
Hey, Blackleaf was done dirty. The DMD was a saving throw. So I'm calling bullshit on that. They didn't even do their research.
Yeah, they that was one of the things that they did, man. They stuffed Crusader comics in my face, talking about how, satanic heavy metal music was, and how D&D did all these horrible things. And yes, the Jack Chick tracts were foremost among the things that they stuffed in my face. I remember Dark Dungeons distinctively.
Can't be like Richard the Lionheart and murder women and children and burn their bodies as a warning.
At Acre? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the guy didn't even speak English? He was French.
Yeah. It's like, so you want me to be a crusader, eh? So are you currently practicing? Then you're a heathen and I must smite you. And by smite, I mean put you up for execution as an example to keep the peasantry in line.
Grim, I mean, did you have any experiences with any of this? I mean, you're old as I am, so
it's a bit more muted over here, but it existed over here, which further goes to suggest that it's not a psyop or anything. There were games clubs that were told they couldn't use the places they were meeting at because it was sinister somehow. We had an evangelist come into school under false pretenses and showed us all a video called Doorways to Danger, which was all about heavy metal and tarot cards and role-playing games. You can find it on YouTube, I think. So we had it, not as pronounced and dramatic as America, but it was over here too. It's a moral panic. People just latch onto something and it gets out of hand. Trying to suggest that there's anything more to it than a grift that got out of hand is a bit mad, if you ask me.
That's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like this is some kind of a new grifting tactic to keep people's names hot by being in contention with everybody else. Now that apparently their main whipping boy, the left, has kind of been pushed down. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a case of, they have to find a new enemy to fight. Otherwise, they can't continue to be successful. Kind of like certain military states and things.
Well, yeah, we're heading into a new era. So, obviously the current regime that was in power is losing it. Another one's taking over. And so people either have to pivot or become irrelevant because the old power structure we're criticizing doesn't exist anymore. So,
or we could learn from what happened before and not do the same thing. Someone has to break the cycle.
Graham, I do got a question. Did you ever have anything like the steam tunnel incident?
No, not that I can think of. I think there were a couple of suicides which were kind of loosely blamed on games, but nothing like the steam tunnel incident.
Yeah, for those that don't know, some, obviously teenager male, not exactly the most stable people on the planet, wrote a suicide note and then disappeared in the steam tunnels. And then the investigators decided to go, oh, what was he? Dungeons and Dragons. That's why this happened. And it became this big, huge thing that.
I mean, it's an easy target. Not a lot of people participate in it. So it's kind of a niche hobby. It's largely unknown to the public. It's a thing that involves, that you only have to look at the artwork and say some of the names and things and go, oh, well, this must be bad because there's like pinnacles in it and there's spells and demons and devils. So it's got to be something terrible.
Yeah, I do think it was kind of a mistake to have the big giant demon on that. Was it the first advanced Dungeons and Dragons book or something like that?
It's an Ifrit, but yes,
Yeah,
it looks like a big. It looks like a big devil. Yeah,
it looks like a big demon.
Yeah, I remember. Savo, good to see you. What is this? It says Anton LaVey doesn't buy very many punk rock points lately. I'm afraid. No, he doesn't. Nah, he's kind of past. I doubt there's anybody out there besides us old folks who actually remember who the hell Anton LaVey was. But
he's basically like what was it, the big occultist guy, Crowley, like Aleister Crowley. He was basically just running a pyramid scheme, going the whole thing of like, yeah, I found a church. Wait, I'm tax exempt now. That's great.
Libertarianism for the soul.
Yeah, libertarianism for the soul. Wait, I'm saying I have the right to have sex with as many hot bitches as I want. In fact, that's my religion now. Wonder why it was popular.
You'd think it'd be more popular.
I mean, and that's the sad fact is a lot of times when you look into a lot of these occultists and all this other stuff, you find out that at the heart of all of it, it's a grift. It's a pyramid scheme. It's a way to, get money for doing nothing or for doing very little or getting lots of sex for doing very little or whatever, just by telling people what they want to hear. It's just another form of snake oil salesmanship.
Yeah, we need to practice trantic sex magic. We need a bunch of really hot fertile women with it. Why? Oh, just trust me on this.
Yeah, I mean, And they don't necessarily have to be good-looking guys either. They just have to be able to say the right things to the right people and convince them that, hey, this is how you get power.
Grifts all the way down.
Yeah. I mean, if Grimm wasn't a more honest and forthright and good person, he could probably have started his own cult by now.
Not a very successful one, I'm sure.
I just find it crazy how many, the Americanized version, like we just turn anything into a Trotsky. Like what gets called Wiccan isn't actually Wiccan. It's just stuff to basically fast track goth girls to lesbianism.
Well, and then Wiccanism was what, the 20s and 30s, basically made up virtually whole cloth from Victorian imaginings of what druids used to do, which bears no relation to reality either.
The Bible revivals, which like the re-baptize in the river. It's like Jesus did that. You're not Jesus, but it's this big pageantry ceremony, and people made a lot of money off doing that.
I don't know. It's just so tiring going through all this again and again and again in slightly different forms.
Well, it goes to show when one system of belief falls down, another will never really take its place. It's like we need this one way or another.
I don't know that we need it. I think it has convinced us that we need something. What's that? There's an old cartoon. For reasons unaccountable, people are born with an empty hole through their middle. and spend most of their lives trying to fill it. Some fill it with TV, some fill it with other people, some fill it with religion. I found out if I tilt my body just the right way and run, it makes a wee noise.
Yeah, I'm not saying you have to be religious. I'm just saying inherently there's a very big aspect of humanity that was, the old quote, if there was no God, it'd be necessary to create him kind of deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not convinced of that. I think we can do without, but for whatever reason, people, what did Dan Dennett used to call it? Believe in belief. They think you have to believe something, so you have to, nail your colors to a religion or a philosophy or an ideology or something, and treat it as the whole and absolute truth. I don't think that's right.
Oh, so that was his belief.
Yeah. So people believe that they need something to believe in. And I'm not convinced, unless that's my belief in skepticism. I don't know. You can make yourself mad doing that.
I'm not like trying to go, oh, Grim, I'm going to get you on something or convert to whatever. I'm just like, there's definitely something going on with the rest of us when it comes to this kind of stuff, one way or another.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but
part tiger and part ant, part communal animal, part solo animal, and we seem to sway between the two a lot. Oh, there goes T-shirt.
I guess he believed he had to go.
Yeah. Quick, fill the void with noise. Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop.
No, but what else happened? I mean, I can't imagine England set on fire. It's much too humid for that.
We do get fires occasionally, but nothing on your scale, like heath fires and things. Are you back, T-shirt?
If you're talking, we can't hear you.
Yeah. Hey, Caster.
Well, you guys should also need to remember the famous anime Gurren Lagann and the also memorable catchphrase, "Believe in the me that believes in you."
If that's what you believe, sure.
What would Godzilla do? There he goes.
If you don't believe in yourself, then have faith in the trust that I put within you.
I think therefore I am.
I will use it, but thanks.
I think therefore I am. I'm pink, therefore I'm spam.
You can go eat.
Yeah. Did anything big happen in tabletop world? I've kind of been occupied given my state's been burning down, including my neighborhood caught fire this week. So I've been a little occupied.
Are you looking for something positive, or do you want to delve into Paizo?
Do we have to deal with the Paizo? I mean, or do we just want to summarize it? Because, surprise, surprise, don't attack people in public that are your customers. Or if you're going to be very diplomatic about it.
Yeah, but that wasn't like official word or anything, was it? But they haven't exactly done anything to allay people's annoyance in any way.
No, it's just for some reason, and this is odd because when I started with video games, wasn't when I worked on Call of Duty 4 in 2008, even for my low level, one of the things they told us constantly, remember, you represent the company. If you say anything and gets out there, you will be punished. And that's how things were. I was basically told, if I do something to embarrass the company, well, just let me go. Now it's, you did something to embarrass the company, here's a promotion.
Yeah. I think that can be overreach. I don't think companies should have that much right over your life a lot of the time if you're doing things on your own time and not as a representative of the company. But he was definitely speaking as a representative of the company.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's sort of the issue with it. It's in general, it wasn't something so out there saying it wasn't something so out there as saying like I don't want conservatives to play Pathfinder. It was a case of he was talking about like it was that kind of general like Fafef outrage of like, well, I can't believe he plays my product.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, just it's lame that a fat aging emo kid plays your game. That's that would be what I would be upset about. I mean, Fash dollars spend as well as anyone else's dollars. Just take the money and spend it on something super gay.
Yeah, and so we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but ultimately it is just this is kind of a case where I think the right is sort of overreacting to it. That said, of course, the idea is ultimately we should all be able to just leave the politics at the door and just play the game. Like it's sort of both sides kind of have some fault to own up to.
Yeah, I can kind of understand to a degree if someone like Varg turned up, I would not be comfortable having him at my table. Right, there is a certain level of extremity where my largesse to who I would let sit down and play with me does reach a limit, but it's a pretty
this wasn't a case
limit
of that though.
No,
this was basically them saying, "Oh yeah, several years ago, this guy bought this guy, even if he didn't buy my books, he played my game."
Yeah,
because we don't know exactly how long ago that the rumor was this all happened. This could have been 12 years ago.
Yeah,
and sort of a passing comment of like, "Oh yeah, I played 4th edition." Yeah, in 2009.
Yeah. I don't care. Buy my shit. I'll spend your money, and maybe you'll learn to be less objectionable if you absorb the lessons from my games. I don't know.
The thing with silly tabletop games is that people can decide to retrofit your rules to anything. I mean, you could write a very you can write in your book, don't use this, like with the deal with V5, where it's like, we don't want fascists playing this book. You know what that encourages some of us to want to do? I want to run a fascist Yahtzee campaign where it's just about fighting World War II for the Fourth Reich.
I think Arch and Sargon did just that.
Yeah,
they called it like
inviting
Weimer by night.
Doing a Cold War one in a split Berlin would be quite interesting, but that's post
like Third Man style.
Yeah. Because, vampires could cross back and forth pretty easily using Obfuscate and various other special capabilities. So it would give everything a nice, interesting spin. There's a good RPG called Cold City.
Get me?
Yes, can hear you.
Awesome. Finally. I literally had to switch over to Google in order to get this to go.
Yeah, we figured something was going on. It was like, he's very quiet.
No, it wasn't anything you guys did. It's totally on my end. Like I said, I got a lot of interference over here.
The conversation was almost tolerable.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, now you've ruined it.
I've ruined my own show by being on it.
Yeah. Well, it is your show.
There's so much like, don't do what you tell me to. I think that the smarter thing would just start to be reverse psychology. Just next put out, say, don't make any gay characters, don't make any diversity, make a thing, and then you'll just have the people that hate them go, screw that. We're making a polyamorous gay rainbow game. Fuck you.
Like, I'm not about to go and delete the PDFs I got from Pathfinder from some Humble Bundle a few weeks back, because I've already paid for that, and for everything, by all accounts, the GM book actually has some pretty useful stuff in it. I can just go pull out of it to go throw into my little gaming binder.
What is he hoping to accomplish with that statement? That's my question. Or is it just like the whole thing that like people are very emotionality driven when it comes to the internet?
It's by and large a lot of that, the idea of the modern social credits score. the idea that you're going to win a lot of favor and curry just by saying the right things and having the right amount of outrage at the right time. That you're going to get people to, support you. You're going to gain followers because that's a currency in and of itself. It's that attention economy.
We did not mention the names, did we?
Which names?
Which ones?
Any names?
The
We
name
just
of a
said
company.
head of Pathfinder guy. And
Yeah.
Jason Bullman.
is that
Yeah,
his name?
is that him?
Yeah, that's
Probably.
the guy from Pathfinder. Yeah, yeah. I don't particularly understand all this lot. Well, I mean, I understand it, but it's the same bunch of tactics that we've already seen from one side. Now the other side is employing it, and they're, it's all in service of the same kind of grift.
Well,
Everybody's trying to profit off this stuff.
The thing is, the right, by and large, has been in a very reactionary, defensive type of position because they've always felt like they're under attack constantly.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
there's a lot of industrial like establishment efforts to quash them down, to try and censor them, and it happens on the left, sure, as well. But it's the point of like direct like corporations conspiring. Like, for example, when Parler came along and that got quickly, like, Amazon cut a deal with Twitter just so they could turn around and say, we can't support these servers anymore because it conflicts with an existing deal. So they shut it down when that was quickly growing.
Yep. And the big thing is that ultimately, was it turnabout is fair play? This has been the playbook for a lot of the extreme left-wing activists to get rid of people or cancel them, just dogpile and say that, XYZ is offensive or whatever current buzzword you want to use to get it done. And it worked. So now the precedents were set.
I agree.
And as I would say, be warned now, because all this canceling is great and all now, but right now you're fortunate sword that when the tide turns, and it will turn, it'll be used against you. And now the tide's turning, and now there's a nice Excalibur Vorpal sword of plus 20 death that you made and you thought you'd always have.
It became very Pavlovian, to where this has been sort of the default, counteraction.
Yeah.
Which is like people are reacting to last year, trying to quick jump onto the bandwagon. There's a lot of people following after the trend. Like, they see the outrage and they're going to follow after. This is just kind of the way social media mob. So the social media mob works.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, historically, it's gone back and forth. But I feel like we're getting it from both sides at the same time, and have been for quite a while. It's just one group goes in and out of political power, another group goes in and out of social power, but usually we're getting both. So we've got two groups of people either trying to grift or get attention, or maybe genuinely believe some of the bullshit that comes out of their mouths. So we've got the worst of all possible worlds because we get it from both sides.
Well, we're at the end of one dictatorial regime, and the other, it pops up, goes, yeah, weren't those people terrible for telling you what to do? By the way, you should start doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Like,
just
I
as
didn't
quickly,
overthrow one dictator just to put another in their place.
Well, yeah, that's what I've been saying too. It's like I haven't been struggling with, the whole crap we've been dealing with from one side of the equation for the last 6 years, only to turn around and allow the other side to go and run ramp shot all over me. Because it's like they both represent the same problem, and that is people who want to limit or curtail or otherwise stop letting me do the things I like to do. And that's
you're also
basic
just
freedom.
easily seeing that the right kind of starting to go into its own infighting just as quickly.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, without an enemy to fight, they very quickly crumble and turn on each other. It's just how it goes.
Yeah,
This is what gets me about the TikTok ban. Actually, because it was Trump who originally introduced the idea of banning TikTok and was rebuffed by the courts. Then he left office, and it was talked about all through Biden's tenure. Now it's gone through, but the Biden White House is saying, we're not going to enforce it. But Trump's then trying to sell himself on the idea that he would be the savior of TikTok when he started the whole thing off. It's
weird. The thing is, he's someone who you just have to flatter a little bit, and he's gonna love you. Like it's easy to get in on his side and realize that the guy doesn't take himself seriously enough half the time. So if you flatter him a little bit, he's gonna come to your He's gonna come to your defense. He's gonna love you.
Yeah,
I think he does take
himself. I think he does take himself seriously. I don't think he actually has an ideology. Lots of the people around him do, but he's just a windsock. He'll go whichever way the most money or praise or flattery or whatever else is going.
Well, and because of that, a lot of that is also because he's someone who that the whole movement around him, he didn't create that. That was something that kind of grew, that was already existing, that sort of blew his way, and he rode that to success.
Yeah, going right back to the whole Tea Party thing, really.
Exactly. It is the same movement. It's just you've seen a new generation come along.
Yeah, and on the left there was Bernie Sanders, and it's kind of interesting how he came along and was basically also a populist disruptor, but he wasn't able to withstand the assaults on him, and eventually curtailed to the Democratic Party.
No, he rolled over. He rolled over and took it, and then he tucked his tail between his legs, and he submitted.
Best president you never had.
And that's a good thing.
Back then, I would have voted for the guy. I was supporting Bernie back then.
Yep. It's that ultimately people, and at least over here, want some kind of change, because obviously the system is currently not working for the vast majority of us.
That's the same all over the world, but the trouble is people vote in regimes that just make things worse. Sorry, T-shirt, go on.
Yeah. I've had poor Mercurius's sticker up here for the last, 10 minutes or so, and trying to get his clip played and trying to fix my microphone. So let me at least.
We'll hope past the time while you get your stuff fixed.
Stop.
Ear trumpet, we love you. How about that?
We do. We don't have Snowdub around, so Merc, you get to be our stand-in for Snowdub today.
Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
There you go. Now, I always like to honor our people who donate, because honestly, those little donations, they add up, and I love getting them. And I actually would like to start offering rewards for that. So the problem I have, though, is shipping tends to be ridiculous. And it's kind of like, it's not that I don't appreciate Australian dollars more than American dollars or anything like that, or any less. But, if you give me like $2 Australian and I want to ship you something and it's cost me $38 American, I'm kind of like, what am I going to do? But I really do owe you something, because you've been like one of my strongest supporters from the moment you first stepped onto the channel. So I'll have to get a hold of your address and stuff. What
you need to do is, make it like, if I can get 10 subscribers, or if I can get, $10, I'll do a paint stream tomorrow. Something like that.
Well, that's what actually doing the membership thing is all about. My only problem with doing memberships, the reason I don't want to open memberships on this channel, is because I want to be able to offer something on a consistent basis that is going to be worth people's time and money. Because I don't want to say, hey, you can be a super T-shirt fan for $20 a month, and then it's kind of like, well, what are you getting for $20 a month? You get your name on the end credits.
Hey, don't turn away people supporting you with money. The rest of the world's already doing that. So,
Oh, really?
And a lot of times, people will sometimes send you the donation, send the super chat to make up for the fact that they couldn't be here. So, really, don't worry about it too much. The money, they're going to send in money if they will. People want to support. People want to support people. So, it's all about love. And by the way, what do I got to do to get a clip?
What do you mean?
Well, you know the clip I want.
What, the clip you want?
Yes, play the clip I want.
What have you done for me?
I showed up.
Oh, you showed up?
I think I
And that deserves a clip?
Yes.
Okay, fine. I will play your clip for you. Okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
Come with me, monkey lad.
There you go.
no, but with the Pazzo thing, there's a channel by an ex-Microsoft producer for like a bunch of Xbox games, Laura Fryer, and she goes into like the basic problems with the games industry. She's also very, forthright, but very, like, she knows how to say things in a very positive way to get it to where, trying to actually solve things instead of just being hyperbolic. So, like, she was talking about with the Avowed director, and this sort of applies to the thing where he was talking about, like, oh, I'm glad I could piss Elon off. And she was talking about basically if they had rephrased that statement and going back to the Pazzo thing, if he had instead tried to use it as a way of promoting the game, that worked better for them. You could have gotten a bunch of right-wing people to possibly play their game. If your idea is you want your stuff to spread about, you want to spread your particular ideology with your product, wouldn't you want people from the other side to get exposed to those ideas and some of them possibly change their mind?
Yeah.
Instead of cutting them off where they go, well, I'm never touching any of that.
Though that still buys into the idea that these games and so on are propaganda or should be propaganda, or their aim is propaganda rather than to be an entertaining product. First and foremost.
I'm just talking surely from their goals, because a lot of them are very happy to say that they are propaganda.
Yeah, and then project that onto other people. That's what's pissing me off at the moment.
Separate issue, but I definitely see where you're coming from, Grim.
Yeah.
Ultimately, everything, not that there can't be politics in it, but there shouldn't be our world's politics. There should be the politics of whatever the actual setting is.
Yeah. Political questions, schemes, plots, things like that. But they constantly confuse the two, I think, on purpose. But
Well, it's the whole, all art is political, which is basically a way of presupposing that your side is completely correct in it. I'm saying all art is political, therefore any argument against that, like, I've already put you in a box where you're going to have to fight back to saying, no, it's not.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
my rejoinder to that usually is like, oh, okay, so would you prefer I make a right-wing RPG and just throw that out there? Because, hey, all art's political, right? You want more Republican stuff going out there? Because I get more Republican stuff.
And it would be so easy to build the RPG about being in the Crusades and retaking Jerusalem.
But why?
I mean, hell. I got just something you could do. You live in a kingdom and they've built a big wall to keep all the bad stuff out, and then a bunch of evil things keep crossing the border. But there's people on your own inside that support those evil things coming over because they're being influenced by the demons.
And they all wear small hats.
Oh my gosh. That sounds way too piezo. I don't know. To me it just feels like when I started this channel, we were kind of struggling against, the problems that were eating the game industry alive from the inside, coming out of the game studios themselves. And we continued to struggle against it all the way up until now. And now that they're in retreat, out of vogue, and, people have seen them for the failure that they are. We're now having to deal with the old external forces that used to fight with us for those spaces, before all this happened. Back when the games were actually good, when we actually enjoyed them. That's
Well, what happened was, this a power vacuum was created. A vacuum of power was created, and thus you have all sorts of forces looking to fill that vacuum. This is just the natural ebb and flow of things, unfortunately. So we're just never going to be able to truly, keep things away and at bay, short of controlling our own kitchen tables.
Yep. No place has ever survived that has the words commune in it.
There we go. Well, shall we have something kind of positive, though?
Have you got something kind of positive?
I do actually have something kind of positive. I mean, amidst the streams of negativity, and I hate to be totally negative on a stream. I really do. I don't want to make my clicks. I don't want to make my money. I don't want to do anything necessarily that is just 100% negative. I don't want to promote people who are negative, which is why I only promote streamers that I enjoy, that put out content that I think is funny and worth hearing. That's why I push, Echo Chamberlain. That's why I push Kyle. Other people that I hear, I do like, Nerdrotics and all these other guys too, but they don't often say a lot of the stuff that I really find as funny or as appealing. I'm not cutting them down on or anything like that. I'm just, I listen to Critical Drinker constantly. That guy's a force. And one of the things that he clued me into is the fact that the new Daredevil trailer is actually really good. You guys seen it yet?
Oh, yeah.
I'm still wary because it's Disney. I'm like, I'll wait for reviews.
I'm sorry about that, Caster.
Yeah.
So the thing is, what they're adapting.
I apologize.
Are you doing that on purpose?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to bring up the video thing, and for some reason it keeps dropping it out.
And it coincidentally looks just like my face.
No, actually, the button is right over your face.
But what they're adapting for this is supposed to be the 2017 run, which was pretty good. It started out in a good place, though it had a lot of it was kind of coming out of sort of the initial reaction to Orange Man, because it was coming out of an event where Captain America was made into a Hydra agent, so you had Nazi Cap, and then we turn around, we put in charge of New York City a prominent villain. It's we're a little on the nose there with that, but the thing was, it surprisingly did have some solid stories out of it.
Well, anyway, let's have a look at this, guys. We can comment on. I don't know if we'll get copyright claimed for this. I figure if we just kind of break it down as we go, we might be okay. Like I said, I don't know if we'll get claimed. I know I had to struggle to put this particular clip together because for some reason, getting these from my usual source turned out to be problematic. So it's kind of like, okay, so now I have to get the video separately from the audio. Then I have to go and put them together separately in another file. And
traditionally speaking, though, Disney's been relatively good about not claiming people, so you should be fine.
Okay, well let's find out.
Because at least they understand trailers are marketing, and we're helping to market the show.
Well, this is one I definitely do want to help market, I think.
Thank you for finding the time.
So obviously I'm very glad that we got Charlie Cox back. That's the first thing I'm going to say, because he was a great Daredevil.
I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
And yes, I'm happy to get Vincent D'Onofrio back, despite how terrible Echo was. And how badly I felt for Kingpin after that show, because, yeah, that was Echo.
They de-penised them, basically.
They kind of did that to Daredevil, too.
I have two modes of speaking. At first, I'm very calm and kind of confused sounding. And then I scream and beat shit up. That's the Kingpin in all of Daredevil. He has 2 modes. He has calm, collected, and then fucking murder hobo.
Indeed.
A lot of time has passed. By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
I could say the same about you.
The mayor serves his city. I can see you're not entirely convinced.
Now, see, what I don't get is, are they completely just, saying Echo didn't happen? Because, in Echo, he got shot kind of in the head and almost lost an eye. And then, he had all that weird relationship with Echo. And after that, it was...
What Echo?
One of the problem issues with especially these Marvel shows is they're written and done in such a compartmentalized way that you have the runners of one show who don't necessarily know what's going on with the other shows, which is a big issue with these shows with when these things happen, because they might not have known about the Echo stuff. But also there's also the part where we're just going to the fact that they dropped Echo like all at once and basically try to quickly push it out the door to make people forget about it. So. Don't expect to see Echo or anything of that show really get brought up again.
Yeah. Well, I hope not, because that show was terrible, and it, doesn't deserve to get any more mention, honestly. But
Can you blame me? I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
no.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
The line was crossed.
It's hard to come to terms with a violent nature. Hating the power it has over us.
Now, this is one thing that is kind of a bit of a departure from all the other Marvel shows, is the fact that these guys are gritty, they're beating the crap out of each other, and there's blood flowing.
Well, yeah, you should have your characters go through hell if they're heroic. That's part of actually the heroic tradition. Not a lot of people remember.
Mm-hmm. And I almost kind of wonder if the guys at Disney, kind of looked at the Netflix shows and the showrunners for that and just said, you know what, we really want to retain this audience. We really want these people to come back and watch this. So why don't we just make this as close to the Netflix series as we possibly can?
Another thing they do in Daredevil that Marvel was pretty stupid that they didn't do on theirs. If you have a really good antagonist, maybe don't kill them so you can use them again. Almost every Marvel movie, what happens at the end? The guy dies, blows up. I mean, even Thanos finally shows up, and the next movie he gets killed twice just to make sure he's dead.
I don't know. I mean, Marvel movies have pretty much become a mockery of themselves at this point, but this actually looks pretty good so far. I mean, let's continue a little bit. We got a little bit more to go.
This city can't go unchecked.
Sometimes peace needs to be broken. And chaos must reign.
All I'm going to say is I really, really hope they do not bring back Elektra. And I really, really hope they don't bring back Bullseye.
Isn't he in the trailer like he's the guy being led down the...
Is that it? That is Bullseye, isn't it? Yeah, Bullseye? I think so. And that's what bothers me is I didn't necessarily like Bullseye, but I really didn't like the Elektra character. I did not find her to be appealing in any way whatsoever. She was just like a turncoat the entire time. That entire, thing where they decided, let's go and do everything about the hand, and I was just kind of like, no, please no.
Hey, remember when they all had to go against Sigourney Weaver and then it led to someone else killing her? Completely.
Yeah.
Ending an old tension.
Yeah, that was so bad. Talk about, you have a license to print money and then you went and smashed the printer. And And look, we got Punisher. We have Punisher. So, of course, I'm happy. Of course, I'm going to watch this. We have Punisher. At the very least, we have Punisher for one episode.
We have Frank Castle. We don't necessarily have Punisher.
Well, they'll bring him back, I think. Although,
but the question it will be though, is he going to be back with a proper skull? Because Marvel as of late has been very against the Punisher skull because so many people into guns have opted and bought into it and have kind of adopted the symbol for their own as well.
Indeed.
There's also something when you said, because you said they made the storyline they're adapting was basically the Trump analogy.
Yes,
that's what season 3 of Daredevil was too. So they do run a risk of just repeating themselves.
Well, but the difference here is that was the TV show kind of responding to Trump. This is now them adapting the comic book that was responding to Trump.
Just stop responding to Trump, people. Just you're not good at it.
I guess not. All right, let's continue a bit.
Am I putting the hatchet down? I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised to believe in retribution.
So there we go, guys. I mean, it really looks good. I really want it to be good. I have that little fleeting shred of hope that it will be good. I don't know if it will be, but damn it, I want to love Marvel again. I do.
So you want to make Marvel great again?
Well, I don't necessarily want to make it great again. I want them to make it great again so that we can enjoy it again.
Well, the thing is, though, that ultimately goes back into sort of the bigger problems of what's been going on with like the comic industry, and we saw what happened this week with that. The problem, though, is that we're expecting them to go back to a yesteryear, to go back to an earlier state that the industry was in, when it's just sadly not that. They have to try to find their footing again to find a way to get back onto that good path.
It's never going to be what it was. They whatever like magic led to the beginning and what people loved, the people aren't there anymore. It's the same thing I have with like Naughty Dog. It's like, oh, what, new Uncharted, what they do new Uncharted doesn't matter. All the people that made those games you love are gone. Is Stephen S.D. Knight doing this season of Daredevil?
Who?
He's the guy that did. He's the guy that did Daredevil season 1.
Yeah, Stephen S.D. Knight. I don't know. That would be. I guess we need to look up some more of that and find out. Maybe we can find out by Tuesday.
No, I believe he's doing some other stuff. I forget what he's doing at the time, but if he was coming back with Charlie Cox and everything else and had like carte blanche, I'd be excited. But I forget who's doing this one. I just go, I kind of don't care. Well, if the creative force behind it is just, this is the problem with Marvel, period, is that they get yes people. They get people who don't have a big career or a lot of sway, who are just coming up, and they pull them in because they know they can control them then.
Well, the other part about that as well is the oversight, because those shows were made at Netflix. They didn't have the same sort of oversight that you get from like Disney corporate suits, and so it's like, yeah, Stephen S.D. Knight wouldn't have been able to do the same Daredevil with the Marvel people in the rooms, like where they basically have a stuffy suit in the room looking over, like, no, you can't tell this story, you can't do that, because they keep things close to the chest. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of stuff that they have going on with these other shows that they're trying to plan ahead on, and so you have people basically in the writers' room getting in the way of the system, getting in the way of the writing method. Like, Grim, if you were writing a book and if you were writing an RPG and you had someone there like constantly telling you, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, it's gonna mess with the creative process.
Yeah, I've done that. You know, when I've freelanced for people, some companies are really heavily interfering. Others let you do your own thing. Others take what you give them and then cut it to ribbons without telling you. So, yeah, it does all get in the way. It's a balance, I think, because if you've got a property like Marvel and it has a particular way of doing things and a particular formula that used to work, then you do want your creative people to be channeled in that direction, but you also don't want to cut their legs out from under them. I mean, Alan Moore is famous for, getting very upset at these companies for interfering with him. But compared to a lot of other comic writers, he had a lot of leeway, especially on things like Captain Britain or Swamp Thing. He was given an enormous amount of latitude compared to other writers.
That's where I think it's all superheroes are fascists, because it's like, how dare people even tell me the basics of what to do? It's like, what do superheroes do? Oh, they instill the societal norms on people. I'm an anarchist. Fuck that.
Grant Morrison, similar. He's writes very weird stuff, and he's been given a great deal of latitude as well. And the comics are stronger for it, I think.
Well, I mean, at one time we had such strong writers coming out of Britain. I mean, we had Grant Morrison, we had Alan Moore, we had what's his name? The guy who came out. Who?
Mark Millar.
Well, yeah, there was Mark Millar. There was the guy behind The Boys, and Garth Ennis.
Garth Ennis, yeah.
Yeah, we had the guy behind what is it? Planetary.
Warren Ellis, yeah.
Oh yeah, Warren Ellis, and then we had Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys could spin anything into gold, and they did. Yep. And then one by one, they systematically got taken down by almost the exact same shit every single time. And I get it. I mean, people who are in a position where they're worshipped, adored, and everything else are extremely vulnerable and very susceptible to getting hit with stuff like this. And maybe they do abuse their power. Maybe stuff happened that I'm not saying that, their accusers are wrong. I'm not saying they're right or anything else. I'm just saying it just seems weird that they all got kind of tarred with the same brushes and taken down. I mean, well, except for Moore just, like straight up quit. I mean, he got sick of it. Maybe he was the smart one. He got out early.
I still find it funny that I still occasionally see ads for Neil Gaiman's Masterclass, which after what came out has a completely different context.
Oh, come on now. That's low-hanging fruit. I like Neil Gaiman stuff, okay? I mean, that's the other part of it, too, is the fact that as fast as people are to tear all these guys down, you got to remember they're also tearing down people like Robert E. Howard. They're tearing down H.P. Lovecraft, and they're basically using the same brushes to tar all these other people, too. It's, they were this, they were this, they were this. And I'm just like, and this makes their writing bad? Why?
Well, and there's a difference there, though, between someone who's been dead for decades and someone who's currently where this stuff's currently going on, where potentially people were being very recently harmed by what was alleged. And although a lot of that really sounded consensual.
I mean,
let's not forget, though, that these are all relatively famous people, relatively insulated by money and everything else. But the same kind of thing happens to all kinds of people who aren't famous, who aren't rich. And there's just... I'm probably erring too much on the side of giving people benefit of the doubt. But after everything I've seen, witnessed, been through. I can't bring myself to condemn someone without evidence or without it being tested in court in some way. I can't do it anymore.
But honestly, for the most part, Grim, I'm kind of largely there with you on this case. It's
Same.
just based on what's been reported, what came out. It sounds like it was he did kind of leverage his position a little bit. But the thing is, these are people. These people could still say no. And in the case of the one like babysitter, she still worked for him afterwards.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because here's the thing with it. Probably given everything going on, is there a chance of, he probably did something wrong. He probably took advantage. Very, very, very likely. On the converse, though, as to quote Script Doctor, Neil Gaiman had a bunch of star fuckers. Like, there'd just be one who would go up to him and fuck him so they could fuck Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
you keep saying that? Yeah.
So
I mean,
Change your name to Shafutsky.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he was paying him off and the money stopped. And they're like, well, I'm getting that somehow.
Neil Gaiman's also someone who's had a PR team for decades, so he's been able to carefully craft an air about himself. So I think there's a lot of that's gone to help kind of cover him up for years. It's just the big issue here is in part because all this is finally erupting after so long. The fact that it wasn't just like a story of one person came out. No, we've got about, I think the number's 8 or 9 women now that all sort of came out together.
Yeah,
I know.
So that doesn't always mean it happened. Like Marilyn Manson, for example, the big person, and she even got like a HBO doc out of it. She forged an FBI report. Like, she was doing all sorts of things to the point that she's being sued by him. So it's just the whole thing. Was it men destroy people's bodies, women destroy people's reputations?
I don't know, man.
Only be when people go after each other between the sexes. Obviously, ain't always like that, but it's tend to what happens.
Well,
Grant Morrison has been accused of things. It just hasn't stuck, and nothing's come of it. Just to pass by, I was mentioning Morrison.
Warren Ellis, man, he just
he caved.
Went for a hidey hole. It hasn't come out. Like, are they away yet?
I'm disappointed in Warren because he just completely capitulated to every single demand anyone made of him, and so they just made more demands. He's starting to stick his head out again and do stuff, which I'm glad to see. But all he did really was share naughty emails with a bunch of people at the same time. He's a cad and he's a bounder, but that's all.
Yeah, with him, it was like, what is that? Oh, I thought that by sleeping with him, he would advance my career. And that's why, we're making these things, because he took advantage of me by not advancing my career after I slept with him. Like, wait, so you're just admitting you're a whore?
Yeah, it was, and
he did help a bunch of people with their careers.
Yeah,
he did.
He just didn't help them enough.
It wasn't transactional.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of Warren Ellis,
Fables.
Not that he had anything to do with it, but Castlevania Nocturne Season 2 premiered this week. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure I will in time for Tuesday, so I can talk about it. If it's as bad as Season 1, then I just can't wait. I can't wait to have more intersectional politics stuffed into my face and more misaligned, historical context stuffed in my face. And
after Captain Laserhawk, I realized something. Oh, okay, we get it, 80 Shadekar. You're gay. We get it. You don't have to keep working your shit out through adapting video games.
I don't know, man. But all I know is I remember when Castlevania first came out. The first series, the first and second season were amazing. And those were Warren Ellis. And
yeah, if you didn't know, I kind of figured this out reading a couple things. because originally some scripts got leaked, because originally it was supposed to be a movie.
Mhm.
And it was supposed to be like 3 movies, like direct to video animation stuff. That had fallen through because Konami got out of gaming. So what he did is that he basically just took the scripts that had already been done, produced it, and then after a certain point, it became what he wanted it to be. Hence why Alucard having a weird ass bisexual orgy out of nowhere.
Well, I mean, I'm not to cast aspersions on anybody. I guess when you live that long, you might as well try things. I mean, passes the time. It's not like they had television, right?
No, it's the whole thing of, oh, we're going to make a mature series. And mature, but we mean we're going to have blood, tits, and swearing. So a 14-year-old version of mature.
Exactly. Basically.
That's how I like it.
Well, I'm still kind of a kid at heart. I still laugh at fart jokes, and what can I say? But I thought the first Castlevania run was really good. But yeah, Nocturne, the first season of it was just terrible. And I was hit over the head so many times with DEI that I'm pretty sure I still have indentations in my skull. So there's that. But anyway, what else have we got, guys?
One way or another, things are changing in the world, and hopefully after we get through this turmoil, it's going to get better. Things can't always be getting worse.
Now you fucked it.
Screw you, Graham.
You just jinxed the whole world. Things can always get worse. Did you want to talk about any of the things we've mentioned in the private chat?
What do you think is worthwhile that we've got? I mean, a lot of it is, well, one of the things that I thought was interesting and kind of hit me from out of nowhere was, the whole Brianna Wu thing, which I didn't get into very deeply and discuss and all that, because honestly, after all the crap that she pulled, I just kind of, tried to push her out of my mind as deeply as possible. But it surprised me that she's actually gone the direction that she has.
I think it's just because this is the case where they see where the wind's blowing.
I don't know. Wu started before. She's been on this kind of truth and reconciliation kick for a while. So I'm not entirely certain it's 100% grift with Wu. I don't know. I mean, they may have just recognized that being that extreme was bad. I don't know.
No, it's more so just that she saw that it's going downhill, and some of them are, pivoting.
It's strange, man. It's just like we're seeing so many things flip flop, and we're seeing so many new angles to things develop. It's like some damn drama on a wrestling show or something like that, where your favorite characters come along and then all of a sudden they heel turn and then some guys get new gimmicks and come back. And I mean, I feel like Vince Russo is like writing all of this shit. God is like hanging out next to him, and Russo's handing him another script like, here, well, this will really fuck him up. We'll just, I don't know.
It was me, Brianna.
Yeah, exactly.
It was me.
I mean,
knock yourselves out,
That's
guys.
strange.
I shall diminish and go into the West.
it's kind of how I feel too. I mean, it's hard. It's getting harder and harder to find positive things again, but we're going to try to keep doing it. And because it's all I got. I mean, I just have to keep my hope up. And
I'm writing some stuff. I'm trying to get produced, in spite of everything that happened. It's just a matter of I'm waiting, talking with some people, and we're waiting for the fire to get contained, and then we're taking assessments of everything. That's where we're at, and it's kind of the attitude you have to go through. And they've done studies on this. They put like a little mouse in a little glass, and it goes for so long, and then it drowns. Well, one of the tests they did with it is they pulled it out, they saved it. And then later on, they put that one back in again. And the ones they put back in again after they were saved went on for like 5 or 10 times as long because they believed that they could get rescued.
Yeah, so it's the hope that kills you.
That's true, unfortunately. But I'm not giving up.
Man alive.
I'm not giving up, not yet. I mean, the day I give up on all this is probably the day I'm gonna have to, live my last day, because I can't believe all of it is gone to shit. Something has to be worth saving. Something has to be worth salvaging, even if I have to write it myself or get somebody who's better than me to write it.
I'm working on it. You just got to be like Thanos. Fine.
Yep.
I'll do it myself.
And there's guys that have been doing it themselves. I mean, I'm very proud of Ripa. And the fact that, we talked about Diamond Distribution folding. I kind of wonder now if this means that Ripa is going to start his own. Oh, I mean, he's already started his own distribution. But I mean, this is kind of how bigger distribution companies get started. Is, first they start doing some stuff for a few local people. Word catches on, and they start doing more and more. And then the operations just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And he just announced that Gothix is joining his team. And that's another big name in the YouTube verse.
I mean, the thing is, it's largely been a blooming problem that's been existing for a long time with the comic book industry. Everyone's been calling it out for a while, and you're going to see the industry start to shift around it. Companies such as Udon, for example, are starting to do sending their own stuff. I've shown off how Dark Horse just outright has basically a direct send for some of the stuff, and I'm sure guys like Todd McFarlane are already on top of finding a workaround to this, because that guy wants to make a lot more money, sell a lot more toys.
This is a problem I think applies both to comics and to RPGs. How do we onboard people into comics? How do we onboard people into RPGs? Because it's all very well having distribution, but distribute to where? Because the comic shops are closing down left and right. The game shops are closing down left and right, or they're becoming other things like board game cafes, and RPGs are relegated to one shelf at the back of the store. Comics, I think they should go the manga route. They should start producing small format books in black and white. Cheap, affordable stuff kids can afford. Get them in bookshops, get them on other places that people are actually going to see them.
Well, yeah. My thought is, what I think needs to happen is now that we kind of have these little groups establishing themselves, like some crossover, some collaboration to kind of bring people together would be a good idea. And one of the big ones I'm thinking of, for example, is if Ripa and those guys want to turn around and go talk to Alexander McCree. He's already got a superhero RPG. That's a good way to kind of build some bridges between these two little groups.
Yeah, I'd like to start collaborating with other games creators, but that's like herding cats.
So. It is. Well, I mean, there's hope. I mean, I think a lot of smaller guys are probably going to start having to group together in order to be competitive with the bigger names, because if you have enough star power behind your product or enough known power behind it, then people will be interested. They might buy it.
Yeah.
Because right now.
Well, ultimately, what needs to happen is, and someone will do it. Someone's going to end up Riververse is like an example, but someone will make the next thing that will just blow up. Might not be us, might be someone we don't even know, but someone will come along, especially in the vacuum that, D&D's basically left money on the table with chasing as a lifestyle brand. So there's actually an opening now for someone to come in and basically just claim that space for themselves.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised WotC hasn't gone around to putting out a different, flavor of their 5e just in different genres. Like, because it seems like it's the inevitable thing they would want to do with what they're going for. They want to have their D&D Beyond to run all the games through. Then surely they want to be able to fulfill the niche and needs of other genres too. You don't want to do fantasy? There's a sci-fi RPG right here. Star Rifts or whatever the one it was they did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they did
the
that in
problem
the
is they
third
don't
game.
understand those markets.
Yeah.
Like WoW Classic only happened because literally the guy that directed WoW talked to people within Blizzard and convinced them to try this. Sorry, you were saying, Grim?
I've forgotten now, so never mind. Kind of been important.
No, things will change. What we've gone through is the last 10 years. One way or another, we're at the end of an era. And we just got to try to make it's the old Doc Brown thing. It's like, future's unwritten, so make it a good one.
Tinned food and shotguns. That's what I'm going to invest in.
Yeah, but you're in England. You can't get those.
Yeah,
can
you're
get
in
both of
England. Where are
those
you
in
going to get a gun?
We can get shotguns.
What you mean, like guns that shoot shot?
Yes.
Guns that
For
fire
shooting-
shot.
For shooting grouse and pheasants and peasants.
Please, may I have a handgun?
No. Unless you're a veterinarian licensed to put down livestock, then you can have a handgun.
Then you can put down orphans.
Orphans aren't livestock yet.
Caster, we can bring up Dash on Tuesday if you want.
Okay.
We're already over on time. I know, Grim, you got your game today?
Yes, but we might be starting late, and it's a safe for work one, so it'll be over on Grim Streams.
All right,
Here on-
and
Here on YouTube.
I believe tomorrow is my turn to run.
It is.
I'm really not sure what I'm going to run because I know we have lost some players. So I'm not sure if I can continue that game as much as I want to because the game was actually kind of fun. So I may be forced to start something new.
Which one
It'll
are
just-
you guys doing?
I was doing the settlement game, which was actually turning out to be pretty interesting. I liked it, but I think I'm losing some players, and not because they don't want to be in the game anymore. It's just because they have other commitments.
Yeah.
Just find
Life
Preston
stuff.
Garvey. He'll join in a minute. In a minute. Settlements?
Another settlement needs your help.
Maybe we can get John De La Rose onto play.
Oh, that would be well. I mean, if he thinks I'm worthy.
Christianity.
We'll play that RPG where the Satanic Panic was real.
Yeah.
I already said my piece about that, Cass. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to us out there in YouTube land, and we will catch you tomorrow. And if we don't catch you tomorrow, we'll catch you on Tuesday with the Geeks. So until then.
On behalf of the staff of the Independent California Motel, I wish you all sweet dreams.
How do you overcome the suffering of life?
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Well, this is awkward. I can't end the stream. I can't end the stream. Something about Google and StreamYard do not play together well, man. It's like every time I keep trying to hit the button, it's like it slides off it or it ignores it like it doesn't exist.
I can't believe you've done this, T-shirt historian. I can't believe you've done this.
I mean, at the time, it was the only thing I could think of to get this thing to work was to jump on Google, and now it's turned out to be my albatross. Let me try something. I'm gonna try to log in with Firefox and see if that works. God, I feel like
Sure.
I'm not having a boomer moment, man. It's literally an equipment malfunction in this case, not operator headspace.
This is the ending of Wayne's World all over again.
It is not the ending of Wayne's World. Don't say that.
You know, we'll just be here and eventually it'll fade to black. And I'll say, can't believe they did that.
Uh-huh. Well, okay. I gotta leave this studio so I can fire it up another one. So I guess, hang on if you want to.
No, the throne is mine. Okay.
Okay. Now I can actually stop the stream.